Onegaishimasu. Nice to see everyone. We're going to do some key breathing to start, but before we do the discussion group. But first, I want to read you something. This was written by Gary Serra, who was a student of Eric Nonaka Sensei's at the Mililani Dojo on Oahu. He's a shodan. And it says, from my Aikido training, I learned that the world we grew up in is relative and that it began as a universal world that still exists. And that it is this universal world one must connect with in order to live in peace, harmony with, and loving all living things. Also that each individual utilizing this knowledge now has the option to change in a positive manner, thus reducing or even eliminating all the baggage we carry. Continuing to live in an exclusively relative way of life will only have a negative impact on one's being where problems occur. I know of no other art that allows one in everyday life and in any situation and at any time a positive outcome. I just liked it so much, I thought I would read it for you. That's part of an interview that Melanie Stokesbury is doing for the new Mana that will come out this spring. All right, let's sit up straight, please. And we'll do some key breathing.
I can kind of hear it. I wish I could get this. No. No. No, kind of. This one. Thank you. Uh-oh. Yeah. Mm.
So good evening, everyone. So tonight, the subject of our discussion is the difference between Shugyo and Keiko practice. I think probably everybody here who's tuned into this already has an idea of what Shugyo practice is, and what Keiko practice is. Keiko, everybody knows, is just your everyday training, and Shugyo is a much higher level of training. However, I'd like to take it a little further than that. So if we look at Keiko, there's often a misunderstanding that at the higher levels of Keiko, it's Shugyo, but this is not the case. I'm going to suggest to you tonight. Keiko practice is everything you do to improve yourself, from birth to death. Everything you do to improve yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, empathetically, everything you do to improve yourself. So when you're sitting doing, keep breathing, like we were just doing, this is Keiko practice, okay? So it doesn't mean it's exclusively, I'll get into that in a minute, but just to make sure that it's clear that Keiko is related to the world that Toy Sensei calls Shoga, or the world of Shoga means beginning mind, Ga means mind or self. Shoga means beginning or small self, small mind. And Keiko practice is dealing exclusively with Shoga, the relative dualistic world of phenomenon, getting better and better and better at something, yeah, no matter what it is. Driving a car, learning to surf or ski, learning how to get along with your friends and your close family, learning how to do all of the practices that Toy Sensei left us. Key meditation, key breathing, Kiatsu, Boken, Jo, all the techniques, all the Hitoriwaza, the training alone, Aikitaisos, all of these practices, including reading the material that's written about it. This is all Keiko. So another way of looking at this is everything that makes you uniquely who you are, for instance, the way you look, the way you dress, the way you sound, you know, what condition your body is in, your mind is in, what skills you've developed. In other words, the development of your Keiko practice and the results of that development is what we see when we look at you. And it's the thing that's named your name. So when we say Christopher Curtis, we're talking about Keiko. We're talking about Shoga, okay? When we talk about Taiga, which is Taiga means big, Tai or Dai, Ga means self or mind, big self, big mind. So Tohei Sensei, when he says Taiga, he's referring to universality, universal mind, or the infinite, indefinable, inexpressible, untouchable, unknowable. The kind of thing the teacher is always pointing to, but cannot actually properly say. So when we do Shugyo practice, that's practicing in this dimension of Taiga. Now the interesting thing, one interesting thing is that Taiga includes Shoga, but Shoga does not include Taiga. So Shugyo practice includes all the Keiko practice, but Keiko does not include Shugyo. So that, in other words, when you're practicing Keiko, when you're practicing key breathing, you're not necessarily practicing Shugyo. But when you're practicing Shugyo, but when you're practicing Keiko, you can also be practicing Shugyo. Shugyo, in other words, includes everything that you do from there on down. So when we have a situation like this where there's a teacher, I think this is not unique in our world. When we have groups, we often have a leader and we have a group of followers. Followers in this sense is not pejorative in any sense, in any way. But the structure of the group, for instance, in our Aikido dojo, is that the teacher is passing on the Dharma or the teaching or the experience of his teachers and himself, or her teachers and herself, if you want to. So Suzuki Sensei used to say to us, there's two rules in the dojo. The first rule is, the sensei is always right. The second rule is refer to the first rule. So that was, and he had a wonderful sense of humor, and he was not, it wasn't that he didn't know, didn't get how you would feel when he said that to you. Because of course, the man who is the teacher, or the woman who is the teacher, the individual shoga personality that is the teacher, that person is not always right. They don't always have their facts straight. They're not always correct in every single way. That's not what that means. When that is misunderstood, then big trouble starts. That's why there's been so much trouble in so many dojos and so many sanghas, so many groups of people training together over the last years, probably since time began. When there is an immature teacher and the students are taught immaturely to respect this teacher as if he or she is always correct as a human being, then that's different. Then that's asking for trouble. But I'll tell you another thing Suzuki Sensei used to say to us. He'd say there's two people you never interrupt to correct. One is an older person, and the other person is your teacher. And I am both of those. So, once again, you have to understand, you have to know Suzuki Sensei and know his sense of humor. It's not that I'm saying that is not correct, but it's only correct in a certain sense. And I'll try to help you understand that. So all of us have this shoga, or small self, but we also have a self that is directly connected to the mind of the universe, to the self of the universe, or the universal self. And this one is like our teacher. The problem most of us have is we don't listen to this one that is connected to the universe. We listen only to the small selfish mind, or I should say the small mind with its sometimes selfish ideas. In other words, selfish meaning the whole idea of Keiko is to improve yourself, to get things better, more pleasure, less pain, more skills, more abilities. And this is all very important. There's nothing wrong with this. But of course, it's very self-oriented. Everything we do is to make things better for us and our family and our friends. That's fine. But in doing it, we don't want to forget to follow the directions of the universe, or in other words, to follow the way of the universe, to follow the way. Aikido, the way to union with the key of the universe. This is universality. Okay. So as we're represented, as I, as a teacher, am representing this part of you So you have this opportunity to learn to listen to the teacher. You know, the teacher's always showing, talking, demonstrating, and not just on the mat, but off the mat. The teacher is often challenging you in ways that make you uncomfortable because he's challenging you to listen on always on a deeper, deeper, deeper level. So this is what this means when it's always right to listen to the teacher. It doesn't mean be a blind follower. It means always listen. I always am very careful to tell you, do not believe anything I tell you. Find out for yourself, folks. Don't believe something a teacher tells you. Don't believe something you read in a book just because it's so impressive. Don't believe it. Find out. Trust. Find out. Look within yourself. Is it true what I'm telling you? Is that the case or not? Find out. So during this seminar we had recently, which was the Shugyo Tasei Kidan Shiki seminar, and that, by the way, just means the celebration of, or the ceremony of Shugyo practice. May we be in this throughout the year, kind of idea. So that's why it's always the first seminar of the year that we teach, or that we hold. At this seminar, we, for instance, used knife arts, tanto. We used a wooden knife, of course, as we do in the dojo. And I can't demonstrate everything for you, but if you can see me, maybe you can see. When someone holds a knife to you, you have a certain kind of feeling in your body. And that feeling generally is one of being victimized and one of making the other person the one in charge because they are holding a knife to you and they can kill you, okay? And that's the reason he's holding a knife to you, because he wants to control you, because he wants you to feel like a victim. He wants you to feel like he is the center of the universe. He is in charge and he can control you. That's why he puts the knife here. So if I react like this, he's very happy and I'm not able to do anything. So instead of practicing, that's only Keiko. So instead, I change my mind from being a victim, from being controlled, to being center of the universe. Then it's very different. He is no longer in charge. Then I can very easily take the knife away, very easily. I can't really demonstrate that for you because we're not allowed to be within 6 feet of each other right now. But this is it. Every exercise that we do in a ki class or an Aikido arts class, all are reflecting this. So they're all opportunities for us to perceive, to notice the difference between how we feel when we are practicing Keiko, trying to survive, and when we're practicing Shugyo from the center of the universe. And changing back and forth is something you have to be very adept at. You have to always be able to notice when you fall into Keiko practice exclusively. So you're exclusively in the relative condition. And in that condition, you're always being acted upon. You are never acting purely. You're acted upon by all the happenings in your life, by all the people, by all the things, by all the circumstances that occur. So our practice is to learn to practice in Shugyo state of mind at all times. All right, so we had a question and answer period, and people have written me their questions. I think I could read them, but I think everybody who wrote me a question is here. So I'm going to ask you to, or if you're, even if you didn't have a question, and you have a question now, then please ask now. Yes, Lillian Paiva.
Okay, can you hear me, Sensei?
I can hear you and I can see you. Thank you.
Okay, so I think your talk may have answered my question, because as a teacher, I always worry if I'm teaching correctly. And so I think the answer to my question, which was the teacher's state of mind, even when teaching beginners and children, and you have to do the Keiko and the techniques, the answer is I should always be in Shugyo no matter what.
Of course,
Correct?
of course.
Okay.
Look. You have to look at it like you have no choice. Because you are the teacher.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just the same as saying how to teach children. Oh, you just have to love them. That's all. That's all anybody wants, is to be the object of loving kindness, right? To have someone who cares about them. And the only person that deserves to be the teacher is the one that cares most deeply about the welfare of the students. That's what makes a teacher, not all the fancy knowledge. Of course, Keiko is important. You have to develop yourself, or you cannot be an effective teacher. You have to develop your skills. But skills are hollow, empty, without this connection. I sometimes call loving kindness Allah. We don't use that word so much in Aikido. You know, you have to think about now, just with me here for a moment, Tohei Sensei. Think about Tohei Sensei and the world he was teaching in, and the people he was teaching, and what they were looking for. He was experiencing what I'm talking about, of course. And personally, he would talk to me about this. He would refer to this. And anybody who stayed with him, David Shaner Sensei has talked to us about his experience with him, same thing. And of course, Suzuki Sensei had endless stories about the type of experience that Tohei Sensei was having. But for him to express it to people, it had to be in a language and a style and with a type of physicality, even, that was acceptable. That was what they were looking for, you know. You just think about that, you know. And maybe, so I don't do that as much as he did, maybe, because I don't know any better, some people have told me. Or I don't know how any better, you know, not that I should know better. This is the way it is for me. So, but it's also a different world. So you folks hear it differently than maybe the people Tohei Sensei was talking with back in the earliest years. Of course, he changed greatly later in his life, as did Suzuki Sensei. And those of you that trained with Suzuki Sensei know that.
Sensei.
Yes, Fincher.
I think you have my question there from the last class. But yeah, my question was, what is the relationship between this stillness and the power that we come upon in that stillness?
Thank you. So I'm gonna say that what you mean by power is the experience of the universe. Everything is, the creative spark is constant. Everything is arising through each of us in every moment. It's constantly arising everywhere, infinitely. Where that comes from, maybe we cannot say in words, but when we experience it, in its rawest condition, it feels like great power. And when we are most able to experience this raw, original thing that feels like power, is when we are most calm. So when we are in a deep, calm, still state, then the universe is moving. It's always moving, but you get to experience it. You get to experience it because, of course, you are the vehicle. Every single one of you is the vehicle of this. So when I say get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and breathe with me now every morning, I mean actually do that. Because that's when it's more available. When we're all in it. Because we're in a group. We're in a sangha, so we're all together. So we have a connection that maybe isn't always obvious until we see each other. And then we go, oh, I like you, I love you, you're a wonderful person. But then when you're alone, maybe you forget. So don't forget. So when we sit and we're very calm, we're all experiencing this creative uprising, this volcanic movement, upward and outward, that's constantly flowing through us. It's possible in a deep state of calmness to actually make contact with the source, the actual source of that power, because it is within you, within every single one of you. Of course, you have to practice. You have to sit and sit and sit. And be open to it. You know, there are people that sit their whole lives and wonder why they never have this kind of experience. Because you have to be open to it. I don't mean you have to want it or seek it or try to find it or go for it in any way. It's not something that you can have any control over. It's not your deal. It's moving through you. It is using you, not you using it. So you listen to the teacher within you. You learn to listen. You sit at the feet of that teacher within you, and you listen calmly and attentively with a deep sense of gratitude. And I think that's the connection between calmness and that power that you feel when you're very calm. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very nicely. Thank you, Sensei.
Sensei, it's Prakash.
Yeah.
Hi.
Prakash.
Hi.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so you spoke more about the question I asked you the first time when I took exception to you saying that the teacher is always right.
Yeah.
And I was saying that this had created much difficulty. And when we come to a teacher initially, we don't know that connection to the inner teacher. So we project our authority and we tend to idealize the teacher. So we can get into that trap where we give our authority away. And as I mentioned, that created much difficulty in a lot of sanghas with their teachers. And yeah, you spoke more clearly about it tonight then.
And I think I just would like to thank you. And I'd like to add that that's why I like Aikido so much, because you notice that Shinichi Toi Sensei is always talking about changing mind, right? And that's because his father, Koichi Toi Sensei, always talked about changing mind. Changing mind from Shoga to Taiga. Changing mind from a limited perspective to an open, free perspective. You know, I often have said in class, you have to do this, I say, I do like this, you know, or you have to open yourself completely. This state of being completely open is what Suzuki Sensei called Skiganai Shisei, a posture of no opening. On the other hand, I do this. This is a big opening for you. You can easily attack me. You can easily defeat me. Because I am making you all powerful when I do this. When I open myself completely, I am acknowledging that this is the center of the universe, but I'm not claiming anything for myself. When you're defensive, you're claiming something for yourself. You're trying to protect yourself from damage. You are being a victim. So Skiganai Shisei, a posture, it means a posture of no opening. Means not just, Shisei means posture, right? In Japanese, in Japanese the word is Shisei. In English, we say posture, but in Shisei, in the Japanese language, it means much more than a posture. It's your whole state of being. It's your whole relationship with the world around you. That's what Shisei is. It's not just how you're standing, right? It's that in the West, we think that maybe he's talking about standing a certain way. Please excuse me, I'm not sick. I just have a very bad set of vocal cords that were damaged very badly in the past. So when I'm trying to talk loudly so you can hear me, it's very, makes it very difficult. So please excuse me. Anyway, I think that covers. Yeah, but it maybe not. It's worth considering. Everybody should consider. Everybody is a student. Some students become teachers, but not all students are teachers. But all teachers are students. So we should each examine our relationship between student and teacher and what that really means. And take into account, please, what I just told you tonight about learning to listen. Because to me, the student-teacher relationship, and I had a long experience of practicing Otomo with Suzuki Sensei, was me learning to listen. And I always, of course, many years, I thought I was learning to listen to him. And I was, but it turned out that learning to listen to Reisei Shin is the same thing. It's not different.
What?
Okay, enough of that. Question?
So, does, if we are in this state of Shugyo, do we forget about ourselves or do we lose ourselves?
Okay, that's a really good question. In the beginning, we think that Shoga is the subject, okay? And Taiga is the object to be attained, right? But everybody's caught up. Later, when we mature in our practice, then we maybe experience Taiga or Shugyo practice as subject, and Keiko practice as the object. Sorry? Do you see? But then later, finally, when you're maturing further, there's no subject and object. That's an illusion. There is no subject and object. This is Musoku.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is all the same. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see. Thank you.
Someone else, please. Yes, Charles Boyer.
Hi, Sensei. So how about Kyudoshin.
The way-seeking mind?
Yes, Sensei, and the relationship between that and Shugyo practice.
Ah. Okay, so the way-seeking, Kyudoshin, which, by the way, they used to just say it in English, but now they changed. Kyudoshin is like learning to listen. So the process of being with a teacher, and then your own personal practice alone, while you're learning to listen to your higher self, your connected self, the one of you that is connected to the universe. When we're learning to listen to that in the beginning, and that is the way-seeking mind. It, like I said before, it's learning to follow the way. But first we have to hear it. We have to recognize it. We have to begin to learn to discriminate so that we know in our body, in our mind body, we know when we are, what I said, dumb as a rock, when we're in the exclusively wrapped up in some sort of struggle, in the relative condition, or when we're in a deep and very calm condition, even when the world around us is in conflict. And that's the key to this that Toi Sensei was constantly telling us about. It's not enough to be calm when you're sitting on the couch. It's not enough to be calm when you're sitting in meditation. We have to learn that there is conflict in the relative world that we live in. We have to learn to be calm and feel and practice the way-seeking mind to feel this rising and be in it and allow it to happen, even in the midst of everyone trying to push it down you, down your throat. Even everyone around you is trying to conquer you, never mind. Because you know who you are. You have this original condition in your mind body. And you know how to listen to it. You know how to follow. And you know how to be one with it. And yes, at some point, there maybe is no one separated from it like that. Well, that's a very advanced state. Okay?
Thank you, Sensei.
Does that help? That makes sense?
Yes. Yes, very much. Thank you.
Okay, someone else has a question, please. Gloria, I think your question was answered already.
I think it was. I was just thinking about that further. When we are in our original state, at least as I experience it, and what I think is the original state, or what I feel is the original state, I also feel connected and calm. And those are a part of it, because you had us go to our original state so that we could connect with the person that we were working with. Is that somewhere close to what you're thinking?
Yes, and everybody already knows this. This is not unknown to you. Every single human being on the planet knows this. But your ability to experience it depends on your capacity of attention. It depends upon the training that you have done. Certainly in this lifetime, and perhaps many people say in previous lifetimes. Maybe you come here with the seeds of an ability to practice the way-seeking mind. Maybe you have a propensity for that. Still has to be developed. You still have to train. You still have to develop the skills so that you can do it. That's why Keiko practice is not to be sneered at. Keiko practice is essential. It's how you get along in the world. It's, I have this nice home and this nice family and business and property and a nice life and all my friends and all of you at the dojo and all over the world, because of the practice. That's all. You know, and okay, so in the beginning, we think of it as ourselves practicing, and that's also natural. You have to watch yourself learn to drive, or you'll have a wreck and kill everybody in the car. You have to be careful about telling yourself what you're doing: clutch, brake, accelerator, steering, windshield wipers, you know. But once you learn to drive, it's totally thoughtless. There's no one driving. It's just being driven, right? You all experience that. So this is exactly the same thing. In the beginning, we have to pay attention to develop our skills. And every one of you is at a different level of that. So every one of you has a different ability to connect with this original condition that Gloria is asking about, talking about. Okay? Does anyone else want to say something? Okay, well, listen, thank
The
you.
only thing I have to say is thank you.
Oh, okay, well,
It's the only thing I know is thank you. I'm grateful for your
thank you very much.
patience with us.
Well, I was just about to say thank you. Because none of this can take place, of course, without you. You are the whole point of this. So I so appreciate seeing all of your smiling faces. And I want to see you at the next class too, please. Let's enjoy ourselves this way. We have this opportunity. Maybe we'll keep it going, I don't know, but at least for now, this is the only way we have of connecting. So let's do this together. Thank you very much. I'm going to disconnect.